You know, there's something to be said about games that are genre defining. Take for example the Metroid and Castlevania series of games, which coined the term Metroidvania. Or how about how any game with similar mechanics to Dark Souls is called a Souls-like. Recently, Steam added a new tag for games, called Dwarf Games. It's rather interesting because they only added this tag because they were practically bullied into it by two games, those being Dwarf Fortress and the game I'd like to talk about today, Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock Galactic is a four-player co-op horde shooter where you and three of your friends, or three complete random strangers, work for the mining company Deep Rock Galactic. You're tasked with going down to the planet Hoxie's, stripping it of its resources, and making it back without being torn apart by the local wildlife. That last part is completely optional, but not being dead does look good on your employee record. There are many different missions you can take on for the company. These range from simple mining missions where you just need to collect your quota of morkite, to salvage operations where you need to retrieve equipment left behind by your late coworkers. And if neither of those sound interesting to you, you can always take on escort duty, where you're tasked with fighting a sentient rock. Every mission will also have an optional side objective for you to complete. These can be something like collecting fossils or destroying glyphid eggs. Completing these optional side objectives will reward you with extra XP and gold. Even though the game is a co-op shooter, you can choose to play solo. While playing solo, you'll be accompanied by a bot named Bosco.
Yeah! Rock and stone!
Bosco will help you fight enemies and can be ordered to do certain tasks, such as mining. He can even help you with mission objectives, like building pipelines in the on-site refining missions. After completing a mission, you'll be returned to the space rig. The space rig is the company's base of operations and acts as your hub between missions. It's also by far my favorite hub area in any game I've played, because there's just so much to do. You can play soccer, try to get a high score in the barrel kicking game but then realize it's rigged, play jetty boot, or my personal favorite activity, get yelled at by management for drinking on the job. Compare this to something like the tower from Destiny. If I'm playing Destiny and one of my friends is taking forever to do something, the first thing I'd think to do is to check my phone. Whereas in Deep Rock, if I'm waiting on someone, I feel like I have so much I can do. While on the space rig, you can also change your class. There are 4 classes to choose from, and they're all pretty simple to understand. Scout, Scouts, Gunner, Guns, Engineer, Engineers, and Driller treats the Geneva Convention like the Geneva Suggestion. Each class is unique, and I think the devs did a really good job of making sure they're all fun to play. Scout has the highest mobility with his grappling hook, letting him reach minerals that are too high up for the rest of the team to grab, at least as long as the Engineer places a platform for him. He's also equipped with the flare gun, allowing him to attach flares to the ceilings and walls of the caves. These flares last much longer than the normal flares, and are much brighter. Gunner brings the firepower for the team. His starting loadout consists of a minigun, heavy revolver, and sticky grenades, easily letting you mow down hordes of glyphids. He also brings a zipline and a shield generator for support. The zipline is pretty lackluster, but can be helpful for moving heavy objects. The shield generator, on the other hand, is a great support ability. It blocks all enemy projectiles, regenerates player shields if they're inside it, and stops enemies from entering it. Although if you're like me, you'll probably forget to use it because you're too busy holding M1 on all the enemies. Like every other video game engineer, the engineer of Deep Rock brings turrets to defend areas. He does have to manually reload his turrets though, so he can't just set them and forget them. He also brings the platform gun, allowing him to create platforms for the team. You can use this to make a staircase or a bridge, but more often than not you'll be using this so the scout can reach mineral deposits in the ceiling. Driller's main role on the team is to be the one who deals the most friendly fire. He starts off with a flamethrower and C4 to help deal with clusters of enemies, and his pistol is good for mopping up stragglers. Also, I wasn't really kidding about that Geneva Convention joke earlier. I'm pretty sure at least 90% of his equipment would be classified as a war crime. Also, yeah, he is able to drill through the caves to help his team move around, but that's at least when he isn't busy slaughtering the planet's population. Of course, your dwarf's loadout isn't set in stone. Pun very much intended. Each class has access to 3 primary weapons, 3 secondary weapons, and 4 grenades. All your weapons, equipment, and armor is also modifiable. Most mods let you apply basic upgrades like increasing your total ammo or increasing your fire rate, but there are also some more interesting upgrades you can choose. Engineer, for example, can choose to upgrade his sentry to deal more damage and have a higher ammo capacity, or he can instead choose to bring 2 sentries to cover more area. As part of your loadout, you can also choose to bring perks. Perks are separated into two categories, those being passive and active. Passive perks are perks that are always active no matter what, and are pretty basic. These will typically be something like healing more whenever you collect red sugar. Active perks have to be activated, obviously, but will have more powerful effects. These can include things like being able to instantly revive a teammate, or freeing yourself from an enemy that has grabbed you. By default, you can have one passive and one active perk equipped at a time. Eventually, you'll unlock the ability to have up to 3 passives equipped at a time, and when you promote a class, which is the game's version of prestiging, you can have up to 2 active perks at a time. The only exception to this is Scout, because one of your active slots will always have hover boots in it. Also, if you're wondering what the best perk in the game is, it's easily Beastmaster, because Steve is a good bug.
Whoa. From A to D, skipping B and C.
Perks and mods aren't the only thing you have to customize your loadout. Overclocks are upgrades you can add to weapons that can do all sorts of things. You have your basic overclocks, which give you things like increased fire rate and reload speed. These are nice, but sometimes you want something a little more than just some stat increases. That's where unstable overclocks come in. Unstable overclocks are overclocks that drastically change a weapon. Probably the most popular unstable overclock would be the Fat Boy. This overclock turns Engineer's grenade launcher into a handheld war crime, at the cost of drastically reducing its max ammo.
Loot bug looted!
My personal favorite overclock is Special Powder for the Scout's shotgun, which turns it into a movement tool and lets you fly across the map at the cost of your legs. Overclocks are unlocked once you earn at least one promotion. Once unlocked, they can be earned by completing special events sometimes found in missions, earning additional promotions, or by completing deep dives. Deep dives are endgame activities, and like overclocks are unlocked after earning your first promotion. Deep dives consist of 3 back-to-back missions, and each mission of a deep dive has 2 objectives for you to complete. So in one deep dive mission, for example, you could be tasked with mining Mortite and killing Glyphid Dreadnoughts. While the game is amazing, I think the biggest upside to the game is its community. As soon as you hit V to Rock and Stone, you've immediately forged a bond with your teammates that cannot be broken. Seriously, this game has one of the best communities I've seen. Really, the only people I'd recommend staying away from are the people who say you should avoid mining gold because it's not efficient. Seriously, if you're one of the people trying to optimize the fun out of Deep Rock, you need to take a long look in the mirror. Before I end the video, I want to talk about how Deep Rock handles its live service model. Because yes, it is a live service game. The most recent season, Season 5, added a bunch of new stuff to the game, including a new mission type, new enemies, new events that spawn during missions, new overclocks, and a new season pass. All of this stuff was added for free. In fact, all seasons that were added to the game have been free. What's even better is that if you want to go back and play previous seasons, you can. Once you buy the game, you have access to all of the content that is available. The only DLCs in the game are purely cosmetics. These DLC packs typically are priced around $8, but their most recent one, Order of the Deep, costs $10. This pack includes a cosmetic set for each class, a skin for Bosco, and a paint job that can be applied to all of your armor, weapons, and your pickaxe. Compare this to most other games where you pay around $20 for a skin just for one character, and I'd say Deep Rock is doing things right. Even if you don't want to pay for cosmetics, there are still plenty you could earn for free. Cosmetics can be earned as an alternative to overclock rewards, bought in the in-game store with gold, or earned in one of the season passes. I really wish more games would follow this model. While I'm fine with games offering cosmetics for money, I still appreciate a way to earn them just by playing. Anyway, that's Deep Rock Galactic. I appreciate you sticking around this long, and remember,
Rock and stone, you beautiful dwarf!
Thanks for watching.